Hello, everyone. Welcome to Yachting International Radio. You're with Karine, Rayson from the Crew Coach. And today I have a wonderful guest, Eran. Now, Eran and I met in a membership that we are part of, and I'm all for memberships, even though I've got one for Yachtcrew. But the best part of a membership is the connections you make. And with some of those connections, they can be lifelong connections or short-term, but I find that I am starting to form more meaningful relationships with fellow entrepreneurs, specifically out of this membership, who are in alignment with my vision and my values. And that's what gets me so pumped. I can't describe it. There's nothing better than connecting with like-minded individuals who share similar passions. And so Eran is one of those gentlemen from the membership who I've connected with. And I'm so excited to chat to Eran today because I heard part of a story the other day when we connected on a one-to-one level. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to put you on the radio station because our listeners are going to be so inspired by your story. So welcome, Eran.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate that. And I agree with every word you said. So
thank you. So a lot of crews struggle with transitioning out of the industry, and you become institutionalized in a way. I've worked in the prison system and it's very similar. Now, as yacht crew, you may live in different countries, you have to work with different nationalities. It's a huge adjustment, and so is transitioning out of the industry. Now, you have immigrated to Australia at a very young age, and you had to figure things out for yourself. And you told me that you were volunteering for years. I'm like, how did you survive in Australia? It's so expensive. And you finished. Did you finish school?
I didn't go to high school.
You didn't even go to high school.
Year 9, I was in Israel at that time, and I told my parents, that was year 9 was the first point legally in Israel you were able to not go, like you were not obligated to go. And I told my parents, I said, Mom, I told my dad, I said, Dad, I'm sorry, this stuff is just not for me. I just can't do it. It's just not for me. Why? I think I got bored. Like there was a point, I think I just didn't see how the skills that are being taught, the things that are being taught are actually going to benefit me in reality. And it wasn't like, I wasn't thinking about a diploma or a degree or none of that stuff. The skills themselves, I felt past mathematics, reading, writing, stuff like that. I just thought like, how am I actually going to use this? I was really struggling with that morally. Why am I spending my time here when I generally don't understand why am I doing this? Other than the fact that I am obligated by law. So once it was legal to get out, I just told my dad, I said, I'm sorry, I gotta get out. This is not for me. And they were cool actually. So
oh, good. I was about to ask you whether your parents were supportive or not.
They were, but I'll tell you what my dad told me is, look, no problem. I understand. My dad was a little bit, I mean, he was understanding of it because he kind of felt the same way to some degree, even though he did finish high school and do all that stuff, but he kind of felt the same way. So he could see where I'm coming from. But he said, look, the fact that you leave school doesn't mean learning stops. So he bought me like a massive children's encyclopedia and said, your school hours are still school hours. So I don't care if you're at home, like I'm not gonna homeschool you. You still need to learn during school hours. I'm not forcing you into the curriculum of whatever is happening in the school, but it doesn't mean education is not important. So he was really like good like that, and he gave me that, ability to really make a choice to get educated about what I wanted to get educated about.
Fascinating. And so I'm curious to know, do you have any regrets now not going to school? Are you still happy?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at the slightest.
So you must have had a strong intuition saying to you, this is not for me.
Yeah.
Okay. So then how did you end up in Australia without your family?
Yeah, I know, right? It's a bit of a crazy story. So, and I'll get to, I kind of read a little bit about the industry and understanding about the transition. So I'll definitely get to giving a few tips that have helped me transition, because I actually did from 16 years old to 30 years old, I did one industry, and that was just nonprofit volunteer work with no pay, basically. Like it was really like, how should I say? It's almost like living in a monastery, basically, where you get given the food and the accommodations, and then you volunteer and do your bit. You know what I mean? And I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I was working on internal personnel stuff like that, and clerk work, and I enjoyed it. It was all good. Did a bit of fundraising here and there. No problem. You know what I mean? And I think there was definitely some similarities in the situation that people who work on yachts are as well, to that degree. Like you're kind of in that scenario, and that's what you're used to. That's what you know. So that was me for 14 years, right? From 16 to 30, all in Australia, on my own, family's own Israel. I moved to Australia because, well, I moved because I wanted to, but there was also in Israel, you go to the military for 3 years. So you just gotta put yourself in my shoes for a second. I was already totally over high school. I didn't go to high school, totally over school, no interest. Then I was thinking about university is 4 years, and I thought military in Israel was 3 years. So in my mind, I was just like, this is like 10 years of my life. 3 years in military, 3 years in high school, 4 years in uni. This is 10 years. So when even the leaving high school, I wasn't seeing 3 years, I was seeing 10. So that's why I was so passionate about, like, I'm out. Like, this is not for me, because I saw a much longer duration. And in Israel, it is mandatory to go to the military. So I had to make a choice to leave the country. In Australia, and honestly, I tried going to the UK and other areas, but Australia, I managed to get a visa. We had a family friend and helped me get a visa, and I ended up in Australia. And that's how I ended up doing what I'm doing. So,
gosh, and incredible that you had the foresight to think ahead like that at such a young age as well. Because I think society conditions us to go a very streamlined career pathway.
Yeah.
And that's why we freak out. And even our parents will freak out when we're not doing the traditional way or trajectory. So with yachting, they're like, don't quite understand it. Okay, but then what are you doing after yachting? And you're like, not too sure yet. And it's that dilemma of, do I go to university? Do I start my own business? But do I have the skill set, or do I stay in my comfort zone? So there's a lot that goes on there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then how did you make that transition then from the life of like living in a monastery to creating your own business and figuring that out without degrees or qualifications?
Yeah. So first of all, the first thing I did what I thought I'm supposed to do. So I went to go and apply for a job. I went to Centrelink, which, I don't know if we have listeners in overseas, but in Australia, it's like going to the unemployment area to get job agency and get job help and stuff like that. I got the unemployment benefit in the meantime, which I really hated. It was really like, I don't know if embarrassing is the right word, but it was just really uncomfortable to feel like you're in a needy situation and you have to be dependent on people just giving you money, like a handout.
Yeah, the humiliation.
Like, and you have to go every 2 weeks to go and report what job interviews you did, and how, and they're questioning. And honestly, like, the guy that I worked with was wonderful. Okay, he was really caring, and I actually had a good relationship with him. I have a photo of me and him together, actually, after I started to like make money online and stuff, and we took a photo, and just, he was just understanding and stuff. But it was really, I hated it, to be honest. I remember applying for different jobs, and he's trying to do my resume with me, and there's nothing to say on the resume. Didn't go to high school, no job experience, didn't rent anywhere because I was obviously, that was taken care of for me. So just from it's like, where have you been for the last 14 years? You've not been on planet Earth. Where have you been? Type, almost like that. And so getting a job was it was impossible. I didn't get a job interview. I did manage to get, he did put me to get some certificate for like labor work, some sort of, I don't even remember, some card or something.
White card, I think it's
called. White card or something. So I did that. And I mean, I'm athletic. I'm a soccer player and stuff like that, but I'm not like a 5'0" or like a strong, like I'm not like that type of a heavy labor type person, you know what I mean? But I ended up doing like 3 night shifts, doing some part-time work, and I'm a bit of a workaholic, so I did go nonstop, but my body was like, mentally I'm nonstop, but physically it was like not for me, right? But that was really the only thing I managed to actually get job-wise, and it was only 3 days, just like whatever. And then I did observe that people were making money doing real estate, and I had friends who actually I knew they were working in some company that seemed to do something to do with something that was called mergers and acquisitions, which is buying and selling businesses, and that just fascinated me, that whole concept. So I was just honestly, it's kind of ridiculous. I was hanging out in McDonald's using their free Wi-Fi for months, literally, watching YouTube videos about real estate and mergers and acquisitions for months. I'm not even kidding. Like it was just like crazy. Because you gotta understand, I didn't have any money. I didn't have any, it was an unemployment benefit. So I had my $1 Slurpee and $2 menu, and I sat in McDonald's using their free Wi-Fi.
It reminds me a bit of Tony Robbins' story as well. Like his background and how he just dived into self-help books and just absorbed as much information as possible. And I think when you come from nothing, you're more driven to succeed and more open to learn, and you're not making comparisons like, oh, but in this job I was earning this much money, so I'm not going to be a waitress. I'm going to go backwards. And I had to deal with that returning to Australia after yachting and going, okay, what is my skill set and how am I going to pay for rent, cost of living, and study and forge a new career pathway? I've got two options: to work behind the bar or be a nanny. I don't think I'm very good at working behind the bar. So I decided to go back to nanny work, but I charged a rate that I thought was fair because of my psychology degree and my experience working with kids. And I was getting $300 a day to work 3 days a week. And the other time I spent at university. And I was like, I'm okay with it because I'm thinking about the big picture at the end of the day. I don't care what other people think. And I just need to work on my own negative self-talk about, oh, Karine, you're 29, 30, working as a nanny. But it was, where is it this going to get me? Yeah,
totally. I think for me also, if you put yourself in my shoes, I've never made any money. I've never really been out in the real world doing my own stuff. So there was also that inside me, it was a challenging situation to be in. And I was motivated / somewhat excited. Like I had to put myself in an excited mode, like this is like new challenge. And because I've never really made any money as well, you think about it, if you're, like you said, like if you're 16 or 17 and you made your first money, you're excited about that. Like this is like the first time you're getting paid, your first time getting a job. So to some degree, even though I was 30, I was like a 16-year-old, you know what I mean? I was still just like a kid, really. So I think that definitely helped as well, having that kind of motivation.
Yeah. So what are your tips looking back on where you were and where you are now with regards to making that career change and building your confidence to pursue your passion? Or how did you even figure out what your passion is or your interest?
Yeah, totally. So number one, in terms of like career choice, stuff like that, I don't have any passion. I mean, I help people with their websites and tech support in terms of getting strategy going for how to set an online course or membership, things along these lines. I'm not passionate about it per se. I'm not passionate about marketing. I'm passionate about helping people. Okay. That's what I did for 14 years. So that's why I joined to be a volunteer. I mean, why else would anybody do that unless they're passionate about it? So that's what I'm passionate about. And it just happens to be that when I was, moving on to needing to make money, I just had to figure out a way. Okay, how can I help somebody and be helping them enough to deserve to get paid for it as well, and then get paid more for it. And you just have to think about it that way, right? Like when you're doing whatever job you're doing right now, doesn't matter if it's nanny or if you're in a yacht or you're bartending or whatever, you're actually doing some sort of a skill, some sort of exchange. You're doing something and somebody's willing to pay you for that skill. And having an online business or having any sort of business is no difference. You just have to figure out what does the marketplace require and how can you serve individuals in the marketplace who want that service, need that service, and are willing to pay for that service. And you just have to connect with people and start engaging with them. That's really the simplicity of it. Now, you might find that you've got skills that you've already acquired and you haven't really realized you can monetize, or you go and find a skill to do that. And getting new skills is nowadays the easiest things in the world, because all you got to do is go on Skillshare or Udemy or LinkedIn Learning or any of those. You can sign up for a month for free, even. It doesn't even cost you a cent. Pick a topic, doesn't matter which topic, learn a skill, and then go and get your first client. I already know what people are going to think. They're going to think about, well, but I don't have any experience and I'm not good at it yet. It's like, well, you're never going to get good unless you start. So you're already going to have crap confidence to begin with. That's not going to change. That will only increase when you get started. So if you want to get that first client, just go and tell them, look, this is my first rodeo doing XYZ, building websites or copywriting or video editing or graphic design or whatever it is you're doing, and say, I'm just want to help people for free just to practice my skills. I'm not going to charge you a cent. If you feel like paying me at the end, I'll be more than happy, but and just get started.
100%. I love how you re-engineered that concept, because I was in the same position. Even when I left yachting, I was about to leave. I was like, I don't know what I want to do, but I do know I want to help people and make a positive impact.
Right.
And then you go, okay, well, what is my skill set?
Yeah.
And then knowing what Australia is like, I was like, oh, here we go. I'm going to study another degree because no one's going to hire me.
Yeah.
So then by the end of it, I got 4 degrees. And when I was in the prison system and started feeling deflated, and I felt like I hit a glass ceiling, and I was like, right, Karine, you need to make a change. This is not working for you right now. And again, I was like going back to the drawing board and going, okay, what do you really want? I want to help people, and I want a lifestyle that I've been striving for. I want to be able to work under my own terms, my own schedule, make muesli in the morning if I wanted to, go to yoga at 2 p.m. if I wanted to, not do the 9 to 5 thing. And then I looked at the gaps, and then I looked at how my skills could close the gaps. And that's how I was able to work out what I wanted to do. And it's very interesting. Like, I've got a course called Discover Your Career Potential, and we look at your passions and your interests on how to get there. But what we also focus on is your values. Because I think when you can work out what your values are, like making an impact, helping people, then you can start making better informed decisions. Yeah,
absolutely. Totally. And then the other thing is also, if to be fortunate to monetize your passion, that's one thing. But sometimes monetizing your passion, there is a runway to really do that. Okay. So what you need to figure out is, what skill can you do that is maybe not passionate about, but it keeps you going while you're working on figuring out how to monetize your passion. Because you do need, we live on an economic planet. You need to make money. You need to be able to feed yourself, your family, support yourself in emergencies. So you also do need to be a bit more, not money motivated, but money driven. So you can then spend the time on those other things you want to do, because otherwise those passions are going to always be at risk unless you do that. So figure out what you can exchange with the marketplace people are willing to pay for.
I love that. Great tip.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Eran. So lovely to connect and hear your story.
Yeah.
Very inspirational. And I would love for people to reach out to us and let us know what their takeaways are. How can people get hold of you? How can they follow you?
Yeah. Look, just search for eranbuca.com. That's my actual website. Or you can Google my name. I've got YouTube. I've got, LinkedIn, Messenger, Facebook. I'm pretty accessible. So eranbuca.com, just go to my website. And then from there, you can, go through the rabbit hole of all my content, or go to YouTube and search my YouTube channel, just my name, Eran Buca. That's where I'm available on all platforms. And I respond to everything. Like if this video is, let's say, posted on YouTube, for example, or whatever, someone else's channel, I will turn on notification and answer every single person individually. So if you've got questions, I'm like a super over the top hands-on individual, like over the freaking top. So any questions, whatever, I'll no problem. send me a direct message. I don't care. Like I get messages all the time, and I love it. So no worries at all.
You're a man of acts of service, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And you follow very much the yachting schedule, which is hardly sleep. I don't know how this guy does it. Like, I'm on Facebook where I shouldn't be, on like 2 a.m. I'm like, he's still on here, active. What is he doing? So
I'm coming to a 20-hour day. It's 20. No, I think it's. I've been up since about 6 p.m. yesterday. So there you go. It's 20 hours a day now.
I can't believe it. Do you eat well then?
Oh yeah, no worries. I mean, does Uber Eats count at the moment?
I'm like, you need to get your energy from somewhere. Maybe you're just eating superfoods. I don't know what the secret is. Eran, how do people, can you spell your name out for those who don't know?
Yeah. So Eran and Bucai.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time and sharing your wisdom with us. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.